Do you have a narcissist in your life? If you do, you probably also have bad dreams. Narcissistic abuse wreaks havoc on the psyche, and our dreams reflect what's going on in the psyche. So keep watching, because you'll see me interpret a dream for a client of mine who has a narcissist father. So join me in the dream zone.
Okay. Okay, Jordan. So tell me about your dream.
Okay, so this one's gonna get a little wild. So I'm at some apartment and I'm with my boyfriend and my dance teacher. So I watched something on the news that there's somehow plumbing issues in the city. So soon I hear my dance teacher try to flush the toilet, but the toilet's not flushing and she's getting very frustrated. So, and then I start to see that the bathroom sink and the kitchen sink are starting to overflow. And then suddenly, water starts coming through the floor, and then the whole apartment floods.
Oh no.
So then I look outside, and then the whole entire city is flooded.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then my boyfriend, my dance teacher, and I start just like swimming around in the apartment. And then suddenly my mom and my aunts start swimming into the apartment through an open door. So then they grab me, my boyfriend, and my dance teacher, and then they put us on a boat that leads me back to my grandma's house. And then this is when I woke up.
Okay. You're trying to flush toilets and things start bubbling up. So what in your real life are you trying to get rid of? Like what sort of frustration or negative situation are you trying to get rid of, but that seems like it might be getting worse?
So the thing is, I think I may have mentioned this. I have a narcissistic father. And my family and I were going to be having a family gathering for Christmas in December at my cousin's house, and my boyfriend and I were going to be going. And the thing is, I don't get along with my father. But however, my uncle ended up sending something in a group chat that read that my father and I should try to make amends, which is just wrong.
Not his place.
No, absolutely just not his place.
Mm-mm.
So then I reached out to my cousin, and then my cousin said, we'll work something out. Maybe you and your boyfriend can come on a different day. So now I almost feel like I just can't get rid of my father, even though it's like I've tried and I've tried and I can't.
Okay. So he's like an unflushable turd.
Exactly.
So the toilets start to overflow and the sinks are overflowing?
Yeah. No, so the toilet's not flushing, and my dance instructor is trying to flush the toilet.
Okay.
And she's like, why isn't this thing flushing?
Okay.
But then what's weird is that I also hear something on the news that there's plumbing issues on the TV.
Okay. So the plumbing issues are likely your own internal psychological plumbing, and you're having issues because of the family trying to bring your narcissistic father back into your life.
Mm.
And that could also be why it's the whole city having the plumbing issues, because this isn't just a you thing, it's a family thing.
Hmm. Wow.
So, as your dance teacher is trying to flush the toilet, that's when you hear the bubbling.
Yeah, it's like it's not flushing, and then she's like, why isn't this thing flushing?
Okay, so that's her voice is your thoughts about why can't I get rid of my father?
Oh yeah.
I've done all this work. Why can't I get rid of him?
Oh yeah.
And you actually hear bubbling.
Yeah, from the toilet.
When you heard the bubbling in the dream, do you remember what you were thinking at that point?
I was kind of thinking like, oh crud.
Like it's going to get worse?
Yeah.
Okay, so how could this get worse in real life?
So that would kind of be like if my father just suddenly showed up at the family gathering and then he just wreaks havoc.
And then what starts overflowing? Tell me in order how things overflow.
So it's like the bathroom sink and then the kitchen sink first start overflowing, and then suddenly water starts coming through the floor and then starts flooding. And then I look outside and I realize the whole city's flooded.
Okay. So this is a a illustration of your psyche right now. This apartment that's getting flooded, seemingly from everything. This is what your psyche looks like right now, with the narcissist possibly being back in your life.
Mm.
It's super interesting that the water starts coming up out of the floor. Now, the floor, before I tell you what it typically means, describe a floor to me. What is a floor?
So a floor is the bottom of a building, and then usually you walk on a floor.
Okay. Do you feel walked on by your father?
Well, not only my father, but also kind of my uncle as well, because just like, hey, uncle, like, stay out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
I feel walked on by
Okay.
him.
Okay. So that's the water coming up out of the floor. Um, this water typically in a dream is connected to our emotions in real life.
Mm.
And it was getting increasingly worse. Flooding in a dream will almost always be connected to something getting increasingly worse in real life. So, do you think you can pinpoint exactly what it is within yourself or perhaps within the family that seems to be getting increasingly worse?
Well, I think what's happening is like my father, for some reason, it's almost like he just won't admit what he did wrong, and then he's trying to tell the family that I'm the problem. And then now what's happening is like a lot of the family is starting to believe him.
Oh, how
Yeah,
does
such
that
as like
make
my
you
uncle and
feel?
well, that makes me feel like not heard.
And where's the increase? The increase is the family slowly beginning to believe him.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
especially because my uncle, I mean, he was always more on my side before, but now suddenly he's taking his brother's side.
Mm. Is it beginning to feel overwhelming?
A bit, because it's just like I just feel like I constantly have to voice how I feel,
Okay.
and it's almost
So,
like I'm not being heard.
um, your dream is showing you, how you're feeling in the form of this flooding apartment. It's getting worse. Something that you thought you had flushed away has come back tenfold. And when the flooding's going on, when the apartment starts flooding, then what happens?
So then after the apartment is flooding, so then that's when I look outside and then the whole city is flooded.
Okay, so the city's got to be the family
Hmm.
because it's spread. It wasn't just an issue between you and your father, it's now spread.
Yeah, like through the family.
Yeah, so that's the city. So you see the water flooding the city, then what?
So then after that, so then that's when my boyfriend, my dance teacher, and I start like literally swimming around in the apartment because it's completely flooded. So, but then my mom and my aunt, so those are her sisters, start swimming into the apartment and then they grab the three of us and then they put us on a boat that leads back to my grandma's house. So that would be my mom and my aunt's mom,
Okay, so
my
I
two
think
aunts'
that
mom.
the swimming around in the apartment before you get out is interesting. This
Yeah, we're
is
literally just like, help, help. Just
okay. Okay, so the help
my
help,
boyfriend and my dance
that's
teacher.
you inside your own head, swimming all the thoughts swimming around in your head, going, help, help, how do I get out of this awful situation? Then
Oh,
your
geez.
mother to the rescue, right?
Yeah, so it was my mom and my two aunts, so her sisters.
Okay. Now, has your mother and her aunts, or your
Uh,
aunts helped you with the
oh,
situation?
definitely.
How have they helped?
So really, it's like they've just been giving me good advice, just like don't fall for his tricks. But then also, I mean, my mom was the main one who always defended me against my
Okay.
dad.
Okay. And would you
Also,
say
my
that
aunts have as well.
they've helped you get out of your head, so to speak?
Well, yeah, especially they've just helped me like snap out of it, just like don't
Okay.
fall for his tricks.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
they get you into the boat, right?
yeah, and also my boyfriend and my dance teacher.
And your boyfriend and your dance teacher.
So they saved them as well.
Okay. Because now your dance teacher, she's like your best friend, right? So she probably hears all this in real
Oh
life.
yeah, and my boyfriend as well.
Okay. Yeah. So they're swimming around in your head with you
Oh yeah.
because you tell them everything. Okay. So
Oh yeah.
your mom comes along and pulls you out of your head by pulling you out of the flooding apartment. And then what?
I woke up because I mean I was freaked at this point, and I was like, oh my, yeah, my heart was racing. I was like, oh my gosh, wow. Ooh. But then literally I lied down. I was like, oh, thank goodness that was a dream.
Wow. So that sucks though, that it like brought you to that high level of anxiety. The dream did, because that's what your father's doing. He's bringing you to that level of
Mm.
F this, you know. It's unfortunate.
Mm. But sometimes nightmares can be good, even though, yeah, they're scary, but it's like sometimes they can be good though.
They're good. They're always good for you. They're not fun to have, but they're always good for you because they're shining a light on an issue that needs attention. And they will be very brutally honest with you. And this one is being brutally honest with you and putting you through those emotions and that anxiety that woke you up to remind you why you cannot let him back in your life.
Hmm.
So this nightmare is protecting you.
Yeah, well, it's honestly better to see it that way. Like,
Mhm.
okay, it's like, yeah, I had a nightmare, but it's like it's gonna protect me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's showing you the reality of, he can try to hoover you and sweet talk you or whatever to have contact with you again, but it is not good for you to have him in your life. So it turns your
Hmm.
psyche into a flooded, hysterical mess.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how I dreamt that because like that's what's been going through my head. Like, oh my gosh, it's like a flood of emotions
Yes.
coming back, and it's just like, wow, in the dream, it's like it's a flood.
hmm it becomes too much. A psychopath, a narcissist, and they're very similar
Yeah.
in your life is so unhealthy.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
how I felt when dissecting this.